Hi guys, this is class, this is, what do we call this, lesson snippet number 1, using the definite article for the first time in a paragraph. The goal of today's YouTube tutorial is to learn a little bit about definite articles in the English language. So what I've done here, I've taken a writing sample from a student that I had before, um, and they've made several mistakes in the writing sample. I've only identified the one at the end here. So the sample goes, "Hi David, I am XY, new student. I'm very exciting to start the lessons." These are the first 3 lines that he sent me in his writing sample, and our focus is just this word the. So that's the error, and now I'm going to explain through a series of examples why this is an error. Keep the word context in mind. Before we move forward, let's just do some quick definitions. English has one definite article, it's called the, and 2 indefinite articles, a or an. These are peppered all throughout the language. Most uh, most languages that originated in Europe have these articles. Anyways, let's continue down. So when I said context, I've underlined the nouns and the articles uh, of interest to us here. When I say context, I mean that whether or not you use the word the either when you're writing or when you're speaking depends on whether the noun that you're referring to has been, whether or not it's been brought up in the sentence or in the conversation previously. So to illustrate this point, let's go through some examples. Um, so imagine you're writing and you're starting a story. Blank slate, nobody knows what's going on. But if you start your story, "Mary loves her big red puppy. Her parents bought the puppy only last week," you have not committed any errors because you've introduced the fact that she loves her big red puppy, and then you've referred to it the second time as the puppy. This is correct English standard, and it makes sense. Now, let's contrast that with the next example. You're starting a story. "Mary loves the puppy." So we don't actually understand who is being referred to when we say Mary loves the puppy. Um, we can only assume that Mary had a puppy purchased for her, but we have no other context. So if you start a story like this, it's unclear because no puppy has been brought up to this point, and your reader is reading it, and there's ambiguity, there's a lack of clarity. So um, there's that. Now, a third example arises here. So imagine you start writing, you're starting a story, and you say, "Mary loves the puppy that her parents bought her last week." So now you've done 2 things. You've combined the article, which typically you shouldn't, but you've also provided context about where the puppy's from and why she has the puppy. And in that case, because you've added that additional bit of context, it would now be appropriate to start your sentence or your story with using that article. So the important thing to understand here, and I'll conclude with this point later actually, um, is the importance of the to create clarity, and the importance of context when deciding on whether or not to use the and how to use it. When speaking, the same rules apply. When you're speaking to somebody, you're having a conversation, and you start a conversation, this would be incorrect. I bought the puppy for my daughter the other day. Now, your listener will understand that you meant a puppy, but they are left not to understand which puppy you're specifically talking about. They have no idea what this puppy looks like, and therefore your use of the word the misleads your listener. Now, on the other hand, if you're speaking to them and then later in the conversation you say something like this, I bought a big red puppy for my daughter last week. Okay? Notice the indefinite article. I'm happy that my wife and I made that decision. She loves playing with the puppy. Now, the second use of the now clarifies for the reader which puppy you're referring to. They now understand who the puppy is. So, to conclude this point, we use the definite article to clarify for the reader what specific object or noun or place we're talking about. If you misuse the definite article without adding enough context to it, or by placing it at the beginning of a sentence, as we did here and as we did here, you leave your reader or listener confused with the ambiguity, with the meaning of with the meaning of what you're writing or saying. Especially when we're talking about English native speakers, we're used to intuitively understanding the definite article and using it in the correct placement. If you start to misuse it, it's easy to catch the error. So, anyways, I hope this has been instructive, and tune in for more tutorials in the future. Have a good day. Happy learning.